She arrived with dreams of meeting a wealthy gentleman farmer, a charming man with a grand ranch, polished manners, and a peaceful country life waiting for her. Stepping off the old steam train in her elegant dress, she imagined romance beneath golden sunsets and luxury hidden somewhere beyond the dusty hills. But the moment she looked around the tiny western station, confusion filled her eyes. The man waiting for her wasn't dressed like a wealthy gentleman at all. His boots were dusty, his hat was worn, and his rough hands looked like they had survived years of hard labor beneath the unforgiving western sun. The farmer stared at the woman in complete disbelief. He had expected someone strong, practical, and ready for farm life. Instead, standing before him was a graceful city woman carrying expensive luggage and wearing spotless gloves that had clearly never touched dirt before. He awkwardly tipped his cowboy hat while she forced a polite smile, both silently realizing something had gone terribly wrong. Neither of them matched the picture they had imagined in their minds. Yet with nowhere else to go, the woman climbed into his wagon and began the long ride toward the lonely farm waiting beyond the horizon. As the wagon rolled across dusty western roads, the woman's excitement slowly disappeared. Instead of the luxurious ranch she imagined, broken fences stretched across dry land beneath the burning sun. Chickens wandered through the yard, tools lay scattered everywhere, and the small farmhouse looked worn down by years of struggle. The farmer noticed the disappointment in her eyes immediately. He tried to explain that life on the frontier was hard, but she barely listened. Deep inside, she wondered if she had made the biggest mistake of her life by coming to this forgotten corner of the West. The next morning brought even more disaster. Determined to prove she could survive farm life, the woman insisted on cooking breakfast herself. But within minutes, smoke filled the tiny farmhouse kitchen. Burned bread blackened the stove while eggs crashed onto the wooden floor. The farmer rushed inside after smelling smoke, only to find flour covering the room like a winter snowstorm. Embarrassed and frustrated, the woman looked ready to cry. The farmer sighed heavily, realizing the truth. She might have been beautiful and educated, but she clearly had no idea how to survive on a western farm. Days passed, and every chore seemed to end in disaster. Water buckets slipped from her hands. Chickens escaped whenever she tried feeding them. Even milking a cow turned into chaos when the frightened animal nearly kicked over the stool beneath her. Yet despite every failure, the woman refused to quit. The farmer secretly admired her determination, though he rarely admitted it aloud. Slowly, their arguments turned into laughter. The cold distance between them began fading beneath long days of shared work, dusty sunsets, and awkward conversations beside the warm lantern light inside the farmhouse. One quiet morning at sunrise, the farmer found the woman standing alone beside the fence watching the endless golden fields. For the first time since arriving, she looked peaceful instead of frightened. He gently offered to teach her everything she needed to know about farm life. Together, they repaired fences, carried water, and worked side by side beneath the blazing western sun. The woman's soft hands slowly became rough from hard work, but something else changed too. Beneath the dust and exhaustion, a quiet respect was beginning to grow between two people who once believed they had nothing in common. That evening, the woman surprised the farmer with another attempt at cooking dinner. Nervous and exhausted, she carefully placed the simple homemade meal onto the wooden table inside the farmhouse. This time, nothing was burned. The farmer took a bite and looked up in genuine surprise. It wasn't perfect, but it was good. For the first time since she arrived, the woman smiled proudly instead of apologizing for another mistake. As rain softly tapped against the windows outside, the small farmhouse no longer felt cold or lonely. It finally began feeling like home. With each passing week, the woman transformed in ways she never expected. The elegant city girl who once feared dirt and hard work now rode horses across open fields and worked beside the farmer from sunrise until nightfall. The farmer noticed how her laughter now filled the farmhouse every evening. And the woman slowly realized the rugged man she once judged so quickly possessed more kindness, patience, and honesty than anyone she had ever known in the city. Somewhere between dusty mornings and quiet sunsets, love had quietly found them both. One violent stormy night, disaster nearly destroyed the farm. Fierce winds slammed against the farmhouse while rain flooded the fields outside. The farmer worked desperately through the darkness, trying to save the animals and repair broken fences. Exhausted and soaked from the storm, he finally stumbled back inside near midnight. Without hesitation, the woman wrapped him in a warm blanket beside the fire. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. They simply looked at each other in silence, finally understanding how deeply they had come to care for one another. Months later, the lonely western farm looked completely different. Laughter echoed through the fields, warm meals filled the farmhouse kitchen, and flowers bloomed beside the once broken fence. Standing together beneath a glowing sunset, the farmer and the woman watched the land they rebuilt side by side. She had arrived expecting a perfect gentleman farmer. He had expected someone who could actually cook. Instead, they found something far more valuable than either of them imagined. A love strong enough to survive the hardships of the Wild West.